Greetings, this is Berto, and we're back for another episode of 80 Days. So we're starting off in Calcutta here, and we're gonna stay in a hotel because it's late at night. Calcutta was an industrial city which had been built its wealth on opium, textiles, and indigo, but that was not to say it was uncultured. Nothing compared to Paris, of course. So I steered clear of places of discussion out of homesickness for my home's bustling cafes. I spent my time looking after Mr. Fogg, plying him with cups of tea and ensuring that he rested well. I struck up a few conversations here and there, hunting for options of how we might proceed. I'm thinking we might do that, just circumvent this whole thing, rather than go this way. Or, sorry, to here. No, I think we're gonna go the whole way. Back to Calcutta, let's sell some crap. Yeah, oh, I know what I gotta do. Oops. Cowboy boots. Don't need that. Frequent flyer. Biscuits. No. Okay. We're not on a dusty road. Let's grab this. Leave it at that. We'll hotel one night here. Before going to bed, I attended to Mr. Fogg. Let's just get the hell out of here. Ensuring he was comfortable with the intention he would have a comfortable night, just because we're way behind getting to our destination. Let's do this. Oh, good. The galoshes will help. The SS Thunder. The SS Thunder of the Apcar shipping line had 10 years previously set the record for the fastest journey between Singapore and Hong Kong, and her captain promised us a journey of 10 days rather than the usual figure of 12. Score! Do whatever I can to make Mr. Fogg happy. I took a turn around the deck, interested in who else I might find abroad. Captain Ong Ang Lee was a dashing fellow with merry eyes who had run off from his family and joined the merchant navy in Singapore at a young age. The ship was crewed by Lascars, a mix of Indians, Singaporeans, Chinese, and Malay, who all spoke an entirely incomprehensible sailor's dialect, which I found fascinating. I endeavored to pick up as many of the words of the odd patos as I could on our voyage. Early on the first day, we stopped at the port of Chittagong to take on more passengers. Then the captain blew the whistle loud and full, and said, "Full speed," he declared. "You'll see." Like I said, I'm just trying to do whatever I can for Mr. Fogg. We dined at the captain's table. He made his toast and then asked Mr. Fogg outright whether he was an opium trader, and I in his factotum. I looked at my master, who merely said he was not. Captain Ong guffawed and commanded our glasses filled once more. "It is a profitable business," he advised. "A man can make his fortune in opium. If," and he addressed the last my master, "he is not squeamish." My master. Morals are not squeamishness. Squeamishness, I replied coldly. The open trade profits through addiction and exploitation. Men and women choose to become addicted. Captain Ong disagreed calmly. "I believe in freedom. The people of China are not children. We need to mind them. I need to mind them like an over-anxious parent." Mr. Fogg gave me a quelling look before turning to his captain. "Your business is your own, Captain Ong, as long as you conduct me into Hong Kong in 10 days as agreed." He said, "Fear not, Mr. Fogg. I have anxious customers awaiting my cargo as well." And we'll wait. Oh, jeez. I woke thinking of croissants. Not just any croissants, my friends, but the croissants made at the corner of the street where I grew up. delicately crisp on the outside, yielding within. I could smell them, also feel the texture of the pastry in my tongue. I was so lost in contemplation that I was very nearly late to attend my master's shave. Oh, how could I? This is a long, long journey. The scars who made up the crew seemed to find me an object with great curiosity. I found them curious in return. My attempts to return a few words of their cobbled-together tongue were met with howls of good-natured laughter. A young Malay shyly asked me what Paris was like. "It is beautiful," I said cautiously. "The scene glitters like a snake. The theaters spill light and color onto the streets. The cafes are full of men and women debating and drinking endless cups of coffee. There are beautiful women and beggars all on the street." She looked at me curiously. I took a deep breath, satisfied with my answer. "It is much like any other place," I said finally. "It is glorious and terrible, and words are incapable of truly describing it." Oh, this is a long journey. Damn it, I'm naked. Today we stopped at Singapore on the southernmost tip of the Malay Peninsula. Singapore had been British for many decades, and from the harbour it seemed almost as if this little town in Kent or Surrey had been shipped piece by piece and reconstructed on the far shore. We made sail by early afternoon. Let's just keep going. The captain was on deck in the afternoon as I took a turn. He seemed to hesitate for a moment before he approached and abruptly said, "My brother is an opium addict." "Your brother?" He looked around to make sure we were not being overheard before nodding. "My family is from Shanghai. We were poor, but instead of relieving my parents' cares, my older brother became an opium eater who lied and stole and wasted his days." "Who sold him the opium?" His eyes hardened. "Does that matter? I know that it is British opium. I am no fool, but he chose it." "You're right," I agreed, discomfited. "He let your family down." "I left Shanghai at 15. I ended up in Singapore with nothing to my name but a shirt and a look at where I am now. My parents live well on the money I send them." "What of your brother?" A look of fleeting sadness crossed his face before it hardened over. "I do not know. Dead, probably, if not begging on the street." He took a shaky breath. "I have not talked of this for many years, but I want to tell you this, monsieur. Monsieur. I can never say that word. Things are not so simple as you may seem to think." Captain Ong bowed stiffly, and my thoughts flickered between the captain's story and the chest of opium, even now in the cargo hold. And that's his business. I know I'm such a great... What am I? Your servant? We had a squall today and we were confined to our cabins. I could hear the sailors shout to each other outside as the ship pitched from side to side. Mr. Fogg, in an uncharacteristic display of humanity, was noisily sick in a nearby bucket. I whisked the bucket away wordlessly and replaced it. My master was mutely, if undemonstratively, grateful. Almost. One of the Indian laborers was lying limp in the corridor outside a cabin. "Hello?" I asked doubtfully as he moaned, and he looked feverish, clammy, and rather warm to the touch. "No, I'm gonna be a nice guy." Gave him a drink of water. "Shukriya," he mouthed, clearly thanking me. He told me his name was Kabir, and he was bound for a job in a Hong Kong warehouse. "Please don't tell anyone I am sick." I said, "If you wish." I let him stay in my room till he had recovered. Why not? Oh, we're almost there. The sick Indian laborer was convalescing on deck in a thin blanket when I came up. He looked over as I walked past, and I greeted him. "Thank you for not telling anyone of my illness, Sahib. I am better today." He took a deep breath. "I have nothing to give you, but you seem like a man in a hurry. If you need to get from Hong Kong to Manila quick, my uncle has an airship. Tell him my name and he will take you." I thanked him. Hell yeah, I'm going to do that. We're arriving! That was like the longest fucking journey of the whole... We reached our destination in the promised 10 days, quite a miracle, and one that Captain Ong was clearly proud of. He shook our hands with great gusto as we disembarked with eyes dancing. "Good luck." "You're gonna need it." Alright, let's explore. think I'm going to take this Manila. I was perusing a market stall in Hong Kong when I was greeted by the familiar quivering mustache of Mr. Fix. "What are you doing here of all places, mister?" I exclaimed. "He offered me a drink, and given that I had a few hours to spare, I could not in good conscience refuse. He led me into a dingy basement, where a sour-faced Chinese woman presided over several tables and a few couches with men and women, mostly Europeans, in various states of lolling intoxication. 'This is an opium den,' I explained uneasily. The gin is good." It was thin and sharp, but not wholly distasteful. We chatted amiably for a time, though I noted he kept my glass full and not his own. "Listen, I'm a police detective sent from the London office." "You, a detective?" I could not hide my incredulity, but he presented me with his commission, which seemed in all respects genuine and correct. "You have been duped," he resumed. "Mr. Fogg's wager is a pretext. Last September, a robbery of £55,000 was committed at the Bank of England by a person whose description answers exactly to that of Mr. Phileas Fogg." "What nonsense!" I cried, striking my fist on the table. "My master is the most honorable of men." "You know scarcely anything about your master," Fix ground on. "You went into his service the day he departed on the so-called wager, carrying little but a large quantity of banknotes." "He is too gallant to be a thief," I protested. Fix stroked his stomach. "Thieves are frequently gallant," he assured me, "charismatic even." "You cannot accuse Mr. Fogg of charisma," I replied. "I have not met him, but I only know that Scotland Yard has sent me out to capture this Fogg." The detective hissed a breath which fluttered the tips of his oil mustache. "I could arrest you as his accomplice." "I cannot betray him," I replied with a shudder. "Even if what you say is true, I am in his service. My loyalty cannot be bought. I come from a village where they do not eat that kind of bread, mister." He pressed a pipe into my hand and unthinkingly lifted it to my mouth. As my head began to swirl and spin, my fingers shook. The pipe was before I realized that I was doing. The sweet smoke percolated through my lungs and my head felt heavy. Opium. The last thing I remember is the blurred and wavering outline of Fix's self-satisfied face as I fell on the table. Oh, that's not good. Let's get the hell out of here. Yep. Wait. Okay, let's go. I woke in a small, dark cabin with the familiar hum of an airship motor underneath me as my head. I was late for my master's shave. I sat upright with unfortunate precipitousness and let forth a piteous moan. Uh-oh. I'm thinking I got separated from Mr. Fogg. A fragment series of images sprang into my mind with vivid force. An opium den, Fix's accusations against my master, an opium pipe pressed into my gin-soaked hands, and then only blankness. Where was my master? Just as soon as I could bring myself to uprightness, that was. Abulation was a task best approached in stages, and I am ashamed to say that I fell at the first hurdle and collapsed back into my hard cot. I drew the scratchy blanket about my shoulders and ventured out of my cabin at dawn. Having gathered my opium-stewed wits during the night, I spotted a wind-burned member of the crew, the tool bed of her waist hung with a rope. "Where am I?" She looked me over. "Oh, you are a mysteriously late arrival. How's your head?" "Tolerable?" She rattled her bold customer wince. "Oh yes, you seem perfectly well." "Is there an Englishman on board?" She told me there were plenty, and I endeavored to discover Mr. Fogg so as to distinguish him from the others. Impeccably dressed, reserved man? "No, but an Englishman carried you aboard and paid for your berth. He said you were ill, though you were clearly half crazed with opium. He had a magnificent mustache." "Fix that blackguard! Had paid for my ticket from Hong Kong to Yokohama to separate me from my master." Today I apprehended the cold truth of my situation. I would arrive in Yokohama the following morning with a penny to my name or even a change of clothes and with no notion of my master's whereabouts. He was bound to come after me. I was his gentleman's gentleman, and he was my gentleman. Was that not the most inviolable bond of all? Still, I made full use of the Solopard's fixed ticket and attacked the buffet with the gusto of a man who was not sure where his next meal would come, for indeed I was not. I don't think I'm going to make this this 80 days. We tethered at Yokohama in the early afternoon. I greeted the waterfront apprehensively, my eyes passing slightly over the slope-roofed building carriages and bare cherry trees. I straightened my cuffs and brushed from the front of my shirt any lint and dared to accumulate. I had been in far worse circumstances than these. With that thought, I stepped onto Japanese soil. Okay, well, we're going to leave it there. If you really enjoyed the episode, click subscribe. If you just enjoyed it, click like. This has been Beardo.